Cultural diffusion and modern Korean culture. 1990s to the present.
From this point forward, we are going to examine the development of Korean culture in the modern period, or the more recent modern period, from the 1990s.
Which year was the Korean Provisional Government established?
The 1990s were an important turning point, not only for South Korean politics, but also had a profound influence on South Korean culture. So as the democratization process became complete in South Korea with the election of Kim Young-sam in 1993, pictured here, there was a restoration of democratic government and civil law, and this we see then having an influence on culture because there's an opening up in a sense that Koreans felt more free to express themselves and to talk about things that had previously been taboo or censored. So, for example, in the realm of film, the Korean filmmakers began to experiment and to take more risks. One particularly very famous movie was Shiri. So Shiri was a movie that was filmed very much in the Hollywood action blockbuster style. And it was probably one of the first films that garnered international attention. There were also different Korean dramas that started to gain a lot of popularity and that explored topics that previously were restricted. So the drama Hourglass focused on the incidents surrounding the Gwangju uprising and the brutal suppression of the Gwangju demonstrations. And in the realm of music, we also see really great developments of music. This was initiated by Seo Tae-ji, when he created his group Seo Tae-ji and the Boys, and they adopted all different styles of music, including rap, and they would voice their criticisms of the social, economic problems that South Korea was facing in the 90s, and they became a popular cultural icon. In 1997, with the Asian financial crisis, this had another kind of effect on South Korea. So as the South Korean economy, as it suffered and was trying to rebound from the crisis, there was a turn towards the economic sector, or the entertainment sector in South Korea in order to boost the economy. There was also a ban, a lift of the ban on cultural imports in 1998. So we see that there were some changes in the economy as a result of the Asian financial crisis, and that this had a direct impact on South Korean culture. What we see pictured here is a gold collecting campaign. So because the gold reserves had been depleted as a result of the financial crisis, South Koreans were requested to donate their gold to the government in order to build up those reserves again, which many Koreans did. And with the lift of the ban on cultural imports, we see an influx of even more outside influences on Korean culture. During the Kim Dae-jung presidency, there was a loosening and opening up, of being more open to establishing relations between North and South Korea. This was Kim Dae-jung's Sunshine Policy. And this is also a time where there were more and more cultural imports to both China and Japan. So for example, the Korean pop group H.O.T., which was incredibly successful. This is considered to be one of the first K-pop bands, but they would go on to sell millions and millions of records. There was also, during this time, the movie My Sassy Girl, and this movie became incredibly popular, not only within Korea, breaking box office records, but was also incredibly popular outside of Korea and had kind of a cult following in Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, parts of Southeast Asia, and later on even in China. But as we have seen throughout this period, how the South Korean economy has developed, has become stronger, and has broken into anywhere between the 10th to 12th largest economy in the world. This means that GDP per capita in Korea has also increased. So we see more and more Koreans have more disposable income. They are traveling more abroad. They are sending students more abroad. And so this has all contributed to an increase in outside cultural influences. We also can't ignore the fact that the U.S. has maintained a military presence in South Korea. With the series of conflicts with North Korea that reached an apex in the 1990s, there has been this perceived necessity to maintain a U.S. military presence in South Korea. And this has resulted in both cultural influence from the United States and cultural clashes with the United States. So at times, the U.S. military has been able to contribute to increasing American influence in Korea in a way that has been welcomed. But on the other hand, there have also been incidents such as the Yangju Highway incident in 2002, where American soldiers hit and killed young female Korean students, and they died. And so this has had both a positive and a negative effect here in Korea. Beginning in the early 2000s is where we really begin to see the popularity of Korean cultural products take off. So for example, in the music industry, artists like BoA and Shinhwa became incredibly popular abroad. They started to record in Chinese, or they would publish their lyrics or their song titles using Chinese characters to appeal to a Chinese audience, which was very strategic because the Chinese market is huge. And so by them attaining success in China meant that this was something that could not be ignored. And it was a market that was much, much larger than the domestic South Korean market. There was also the increase in popularity of K-dramas. For example, Winter Sonata was incredibly popular throughout Asia. So not just in China, but also in Japan, in Taiwan, in Hong Kong. There were dubbings of this drama, subtitled, and there were all kinds of tours that were created, centered around this drama and taking tourists from these different countries to venues where the drama was filmed, or places where the actors had visited or supposedly frequented. And so this really generated a whole tourist industry based on the popularity of these dramas. And this is also the time where we begin to see the rise of the K-pop idol and Korean celebrities, or 연예인, abroad. And that these celebrities, they are so popular that they go on tour and they visit other countries, like they would go to Japan or they would go to Hong Kong, and they would be mobbed by fans and generate all kinds of press and popularity while they are abroad and traveling. Another popular drama that contributed to the Korean wave was Daejangum, or the Palace Jewel. And what this particular drama did was that it showcased Korean royal cuisine. And this was a really wonderful opportunity for the Koreans to highlight Korean food, and use this to start to promote the export of Korean food products. And this is also a time where the boy bands, the Korean boy bands, really became popular, such as Super Junior and Big Bang. And with Psy's 2012 hit, Gangnam Style, this is where the Korean music really just exploded and blew up across the world, with over 4 billion views on YouTube. The Korean music industry was able to capitalize on the internet, on social media, and it has made such an amazing contribution to the spread and popularity of Korean culture abroad, and has made such an important contribution to the rise and expansion of the Korean wave. In fact, there are just too many K-pop groups to mention now that have garnered international attention, popularity, and accolades. There's the Girls' Generation and Wonder Girls that became popular in the United States, and they started to also sing or include a lot of English lyrics in their songs. There's EXO, 21, Big Bang, SHINee. These groups also became extremely popular, and as a result, there are students from all over the world who listen to this music, are huge fans of this music, and then come to Korea because they want to learn more about Korean culture, Korean history, Korean society. Blackpink has recorded songs exclusively in English, and of course there's BTS. BTS being just the most popular, not K-pop band, but the most popular band in the world, and they have won all kinds of Grammys and other awards and recognition internationally. But this crossover really began with K-pop stars recording in both Japanese and Chinese. So they would record versions of their songs for Japanese audience or for Chinese audience, and expanding their market and really increasing their popularity abroad. We saw that the Wonder Girls, BoA, Girls' Generation, CL, they all did this, and now currently, groups such as BTS, Blackpink, and Rose have all recorded in English. K-dramas are also incredibly popular abroad as well. So I have many students who have asked me about dramas such as Sky Castle or Crash Landing on You or Itaewon Class, Reply 1988, some older dramas such as The Coffee Prince or Boys Over Flowers, My Lovely Samsoon. These are all dramas that have contributed to the popularity of Korean culture abroad, and these are some of them have even spurned foreign versions of these dramas in other countries. And streaming services have really also contributed to the popularity of Korean dramas as well. Some popular ones include Mr. Sunshine, Kingdom, and we cannot ignore Squid Games, which won Emmys, nominated for Emmys, and which were ended up being some of the most popular K-dramas on streaming services. The Korean film industry has also really just developed and exploded on the film scene, beginning with some films such as Friend, JSA, and Oldboy. All of these were not only popular domestically, but also gained recognition abroad. And then other films more recently, such as Taxi Driver, Ode to My Father, Train to Busan, Parasite, and Minari. These are also films that have been incredibly popular internationally, and in some cases were more popular with an international audience than with the South Korean audience initially. Parasite would go on to win Academy Awards. Minari, the actress, would win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. So these movies are now not only are they recognized for their acting, but also for their direction, and the film production is just right up there with the best of the best. Again, there's quite a bit of crossover within the Korean film industry. We see that there are Korean actors that have been able to move and transition into other industries or other markets abroad. Steven Yeun, he was in Minari and also the American television show or television series Walking Dead. And other actors such as Bae Doona, who was in the Korean series Kingdom, and then played a role in the American movie Cloud Atlas. Kyung Lee was in the movie Maze Runner. Rain, the K-pop idol, was featured in the movies Speed Racer and Ninja Assassin. Ma Dong-seok in Eternals, Lee Joon-gi in Resident Evil, and Lee Byung-hyun in Red 2. So there's been quite a bit of crossover for Korean actors into Hollywood. And a large part of Korean culture is also the K-beauty industry. So cosmetics, makeup, skincare, plastic surgery, because the Korean wave has become so popular and Korean celebrities are so popular abroad, their fans want to know how do they get their perfect skin or how do they do their makeup, and oftentimes want to emulate these celebrities and look like them. And so this has really helped to contribute to the popularity of K-beauty. There's also K-fashion. So Korea now hosts Seoul Fashion Week every year. There are Korean versions of fashion magazines, including Korean Vogue, Korean Elle, Korean Harper's Bazaar. And the fashion industry within Korea has really taken off, including homegrown Korean designers. And then Korean food has also become incredibly popular abroad. So there's both inbound and outbound results of this, where you have, as we saw earlier, there are influences from, for example, fast food or Starbucks, or Gordon Ramsay just opened up a gourmet burger joint here in Korea, but there are also outbound influences. So Korean food influencing chefs and foodies abroad. There's a couple shows that feature Korean food, such as the Michelin star chef Jean-Georges and his wife. They produce the Kimchi Chronicles. David Chang has filmed quite extensively featuring Korean food as well. So the inbound influences we see, there are all kinds of American or Western style food here in Korea. Shake Shack, Krispy Kreme, Starbucks, P.F. Chang's on the border. They are all over Seoul. But there's also the outbound influence, the popularity of Korean food abroad. So, for example, food trucks in LA's Koreatown are incredibly popular, and they have huge followings. You have to often download an app in order to figure out where the next food truck is going to be serving, and only the first few numbers of customers are served. There are all kinds of restaurants in the United States that incorporate Korean ingredients or flavors into their menus. There's, for example, Thursday Kitchen, which is a Korean and Spanish tapas fusion restaurant. There's Jeongshik, which is actually a 2-star Michelin restaurant, and this combines Korean and French cuisine. There are all kinds of examples of this fusion with Korean food that has taken place.
These are the keywords for this class: democratization, economic development, Korean wave, crossover,